Okay, so hello and welcome back to another Python tutorial. In this one we're going to be doing the bubble sort algorithm. So we'd been doing the searching algorithms where you either give it a value to find in a list or to see if the value is in the list. And now we're moving on to sorts where we give it a jumbled up list and tell it to put it in either numerical increasing order or alphabetical order or so on. Anything that is iterable where you can order it. And here, as usual, I'll link the Wikipedia page for the algorithm so you can read more about it. But how the bubble sort works, this is a very good way of displaying it. So here's a jumbled up list of numbers. It takes the first two and says, is 6 bigger than 5? If 6 is bigger than 5, swap them. Then it moves down. Is 6 bigger than 3? 6 is bigger than 3, swap them. And as you keep going down, the lower numbers get swapped with the higher numbers. And once it gets to the end of checking across this, it won't be fully sorted. It might be, but most of the time it won't be. So what it'll do is it'll do it again. And the way it knows how many times to fully check is the amount of characters in the list. So that every time you add one to the list, it has to do an extra check to make sure it's perfectly done. And we're going to make that in Python. So let's get going. And I'm going to ask that you do some of it yourself because it's always good to practice. So this is very simple to implement actually, so this will probably end up being a really short tutorial, but I can talk about some little additional ways of doing things or different ways of doing things. So as usual, we'll start off with an array, so numbers equals 2 1 8 3 9 0 5 7. Really doesn't matter, just make sure you don't really repeat the same. Actually no, for sorting it doesn't really matter because it'll put them if the first number is the same as the next number, it just won't swap them because they're the same, so it'll be fine. And we want to make a function for doing the sort, so we'll call that bubble sort, and we'll pass in the array numbers, and we'll do something, and then at the bottom we'll call it, for now I'll just call it, but I might print it later. Bubble sort, and then pass in numbers, and then up here we want to do the function. So the goal for you on this function is we need to have a loop which does the whole algorithm the amount of times that there are characters in the list, and then we need to have a loop inside that so that for every time we do that loop we also check each character with the next one. And if the first one is bigger than the second, then we swap their position, and then we move on. Okay, now, obviously, if you don't quite get what I said, you might want to look up the bubble sort algorithm, how it works. I think I've explained it. It's quite simple to understand, to get to grips with it. And the main thing you need to keep in mind for this little task is, well, there's two things to keep in mind. One is that this list length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But the thing with this is that if you go from 0 to 8, it won't work, because you've got to remember that the last character in an array is the length minus 1. So if you're referring to the last character, don't say the length of the list, it's the length of the list minus 1. So that's the first thing to keep in mind, length minus 1. And the other thing to keep in mind is that there is no function or word to swap two characters in a list. There are two ways that I can think of to do it. There might be more. These two ways seem sensible, and I'll show you the kind of standard one first, and then there's actually the quicker way to do it, which I don't see why you wouldn't do that way, but the way I remember getting taught this was different, but it's cool. There's a Python way to do this. The reason why I'm going to teach the other way is because other languages might not have this functionality, but if they do, then that's cool, and you can do that. I'll show you both so that you get to use it. You get to know what I'm on about. So pause it now if you want to have a go at making the algorithm, but if you don't, then let's continue. So we need to make a loop first of all. So as usual, for I in range 0 to, and as I said, we want the length of the array, which is numbers. But if we go from 0 to 8, it'll go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then it'll throw an error saying 8 doesn't exist, you're out of range. So we need up to the length minus 1. And what we do want to do, for everything we want to do another loop for swapping. So for, we've already used I, so we'll use j. For j in range 0, len numbers -1. So we get the same thing again. Because obviously if we looped it 8 times, it would end up checking a character that doesn't exist and it would throw error messages. So now this is where we're finally into doing all the checks. The two loops are mainly just for checking. Well, the first loop, I, we don't actually use the variable I, because all that loop is doing is just running this other loop the amount of times there are characters in the thing. Whereas this j for j in range actually doesn't matter a lot, because that's referring to the place in the list. So j0, j1, j2, so on. So we'll put if numbers j, which at the start will be 0, is greater than numbers j plus 1, which is on about the character after it. So if the character we're on is bigger than the character after it, then we want to, so I'm going to show this way around first, we want to make a temporary variable. Now the reason is, when you swap characters in an array, there isn't any way to just say swap this one with this one. We can't say swap numbers j with j1. There's a very similar way of doing that, but it's not the same. One way you can do it is you can set j equal to j1. So we could set 2 equal to 1, so that we now have 1 in the first slot, which is right. The 2's not there anymore, it's a small number first. But then we lose 2. We don't know what 2 goes away once we set this equal to 1. It's gone. 2 is gone forever. So what we can do is we can actually store 2 as a temporary variable, change this to this one, and then change this one to the temporary variable. So if we do temporary equals, see, this only gets ran if the first number is bigger than the second. So we're going to set temporary equal to the number that we're looking at, and then we'll say the number we're looking at is now equal to the one after it. And then, now that we've changed that one, we can then also set the one after it, so numbers j plus 1, equal to the temporary variable. And then at the end of this whole thing, we're going to, we're going to return numbers. Okay. See, the thing now, if I just run this, it's going to do that, it's going to sort it, but nothing's going to happen. We need to be able to print this, so as you might expect, print. Since we're returning the list, we can just print this, in which it prints the list. 0, 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9. There you go. That's sorted. This algorithm has now taken in our list of jumbled up characters 2183957 and put them into order by checking each one individually. Is this bigger than this? Swap them there, and then keep going until eventually we're done. So that's it. But I'm going to mention one last thing. See, it's not that short a video, 8 minutes, but it'll be probably 9 or 10 by the end of this. So these 3 lines here can actually be compacted into one, because this way of saving a temporary variable is the normal way you would code this. Though certain languages, such as Python, might have ways of swapping characters in a list simpler, easier. And this is obviously a nice way to do it, nothing wrong with it. But the way we can cut these 3 lines down to one is we can say that numbers j, comma, numbers j plus 1 is equal to numbers j plus 1, comma, numbers j. Now, after commas, I like own spaces. Now, basically, the way this works is we're saying, well, here's number j, and here's number j plus 1. So we're saying 2, comma 1 is equal to 1, comma 2. So we're changing j to j plus 1, and we're changing j plus 1 to j. And because it's in the same line, it all happens at once. The problem with the other method is that once you set something equal to something else, you've then lost the first thing. But this kind of does the whole swap in the same line. I am honestly not sure if this exists in other languages or whether you just have to keep doing a temporary variable. I could check that in C++ or JavaScript or whatever, but if you're using Python, this is a perfectly sound way of doing it. Or you can do the temporary variable way. But yeah, we're just saying, well, numbers j is equal to, numbers j, comma, numbers j plus 1, so we're saying, well, 2, 1 is equal to 1, 2, or 8, 3 is equal to 3, 8, and so on. And then if we run it just to prove it still works, it should hopefully work. 0, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. Okay. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video on the sorting algorithm for the bubble sort. Next video I'm going to be moving on to merge sort, or definitely some other kind of sort anyway. If you like the video, then obviously like the videos that you enjoy, because then that means I know what to make more of. If you like, subscribe, that would really help. The Discord server, my Discord server is in the channel description. We're actually getting quite a few members now. People discuss Unity, Python, whatever. We've got different text channels for that. People there to help, and it's a lot easier to have a discussion in there than in the YouTube comments, though I do check them regularly and try and respond where I can. Though right now I'm recording this video at 1 AM and I really need to sleep after this, so I will respond to any outstanding comments in the morning. But yeah, I hope you liked this video. If you did, then do all the things I said, please. Help out a lot. But yeah, I really enjoy everyone commenting and watching the videos. I've noticed the channel's getting quite a lot more views recently, and quite a few more subscribers, so that's always nice to see. But yeah, if I don't have anything else to say, then thanks for watching and goodbye.